Yes, guys, welcome from me, CMO102, the Free-Man Network game. We finally got a fucking session in over the weekend. Admittedly, we only had about 90 minutes or so this will be a very, very brief update in compared to the last update. There ain't going to be too much more activity to scream about. Ian and Pep are riding high in the Premier League, and I'm in the second tier with Manchester City. And do you know what, right? The real scary thing is, right, and I was thinking about it yesterday, in a couple of weeks' time, we are going to reach 9.5 years since we launched this game. I think the wording I had was, in December, it's going to be a decade old. Can you fucking believe that? How fucking geeky, sad, but legendary it is. Okay, so I fired this up as a solo game. And this is me, Manchester City. Let me remind you, we are the FA Cup holders. And because of our FA Cup triumph last season in the third tier, we have a UEFA Cup campaign, which we have just gone into the fourth round, which will be after the winter break. As you can see there, the last two games, I'd even call it a little bit of a blip. You know, we drew with the Russians, we won the first leg convincingly, we lost at home to Derby. Was a little bit fucking angry to say the least. But you can see we haven't actually, the last few games, we drew with West Brom, we won 4-3. Hasn't been convincing. There's still a lot of players, there's still a lot of positions that I want. Now, let me show you something, right? In fact, I'll show you this in a minute. Let me now run to let's go to the Cups then. The League Cup, fourth round. I've still got to play my fourth round tie. Man United are through to the quarters. Ian's Man United. Pep's Southampton. Brilliant result. I didn't even spot who that was against, but they are through to the quarterfinals quite with ease. The quarterfinal draw has been made. We will go to Bradford if we overcome Sunderland. A rerun of last season's FA Cup final. And you can see there, York, second division, will take on United. Southampton will take on Morecambe. But you've probably already gathered the semi-final draw has been made. And I don't even know what the draw is. So, right, okay. So we will play Pepe in the semi-final in the event we get past Sunderland and past Bradford. And Ian will play Chelsea, potentially, in the semi-final. So, that is that. Let's have a look now then at the Champions League. This is Pep's second phase, looking good. Chelsea looking good. Ian... he's only had one game actually. Yeah, of course he has. Okay, and that's that. So now, Sunderland looking good as well. Let's take a look at the Premier League then. Manchester United lead the way. Well, you may recall on the previous update, Pep had already fucking almost thrown the towel in. But he's given himself some glimmer of hope here, and that was due to the fact of that. He beat Ian. I mean, helped by red cards, but he'll take anything he can. Helped by red cards, but Pepe picks up a valuable 2-1 victory over Manchester United. Now, the biggest news for me, right, I have a big shortlist, like a lot of us do, and that's not actually that big. I think I cleared it when I took over Man City. And I found a player, right, found a regen, and I was really, really fucked off, because I found this regen, I found the Messi regen, and he just moved. He was just moving. And I was like, for fuck's sake, right? But I thought to myself, okay, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna get him. But the fact that he was just moving to a random team, I even forget where it was. The chances are minimal that Pep or Ian are gonna get him. I go to my shortlist. I see that this Messi regen is interesting me, and I'm thinking, well, hey. I look over, and Pep's interested. Next thing, Pep gets him. He was always going to choose Pep ahead of me. I was so fucking pissed off. I was really, really pissed off. Surprisingly, Pep has only given him a 2.5-year contract, which I think is a little bit bizarre. But so he arrived on a free transfer as a regen. And then he moved to the Costa... So this is what I mean. I managed to find him, and he'd already agreed to go to the Costa... So I thought to myself, bastard. But then I thought, do you know what? It's not actually a massive issue. He can develop in that Costa Rican team until he becomes interested in me. and the chances are very, very slim Pep or Ian are going to find him. Surely they'll never find him at a Costa Rican team. I would never have thought about looking unless, your scouts, and which must be the way Pep found him. So I was fucking livid. I really was. I don't quite understand why Pep's only giving him a 2.5-year deal, though, if I'm truly honest with you. But hey-ho. So one big deal that did go through, Pep signed this guy from me. Now, you're probably wondering, why would I sell such a player? Now, I've got a lot of forwards, strength in numbers in terms of forwards, and the players that I got from Pep, I was always going to get a part exchange deal. That was always going to be the deal from Pep. And the players that came in as part of it was that forward, not the greatest, but more so that Ukrainian centre half, who I needed a centre half. I think defence is really my biggest problem at Manchester City. Lazic, who I think is Vidic regen, because he came in. I found him on the free transfer as well, but it could well be Vidic. Look at that: 11 yellow cards and 2 red cards in 19 games. Unfucking believable. But I feel like I need a new goalkeeper. But I think, whilst I would expect to make promotion, I do expect to get some better talent interested in me. I am keeping an eye on players interested in me from Chelsea, Manchester United and Southampton. Now, it's very difficult to get anybody from Man United. Last season, Ian said he had a couple of players for sale. If I was interested, he was happy to sell them to me because I was no competition. Nobody was interested in me. They don't want to move to a rival club. I get that. It's slightly different with Pep. And obviously Chelsea. Now Chelsea, let me remind you, the AI Chelsea, who, if they win their 2 games in hand, can now move to within 2 points of Manchester United. But let me remind you of a certain Colombian striker who, again, look at that, 9-4-0, 4 starts, 1 sub, 8 goals, absolutely crazy. Really is fucking insane. I am tracking him. They've still got some absolute quality players. I'm just really hopeful that maybe some of their players might be interested in me, and maybe they might join me ahead of Man United next season. Who knows? Who knows? In terms of Chelsea, they brought a couple of players in. Collado, I vaguely remember him. Charlotte, I don't even know who he is. Not bad. Raul Assad. Now, he was my ex-defender anyway, so they've re-signed him. I think they brought a couple more. I'm sure they did. Elliot Davidson. They brought him last season. Yeah, a couple of old players. That is David Alaba, I believe that is. I'm sure I had him. Or maybe not. I thought I had him, actually. Maybe not. Definitely, me and Pep have had this Greek defender. There you go. Let's have a quick look then at Manchester United. See if Ian's made any... let me show you this, right. So I looked at Pep's players interested in me, and this guy was interested in me. I recognise him. He was a regen of a regen, and I thought to myself, oh, he's interested in me. And Pep had him transfer listed. I thought, okay. I chucked a bid in of, I think it was, because money's not an option, I think it was something like 40 odd million, 15 million, and then another 10 million here and there, something like that. Or I offered something like 25 and Pep negotiated. Pep accepted, I offered this guy a contract. And then Ian offered the same contract, the same deal as me, and whatever it was. And I'm sure it was 45 million. 5 million then, 20 after 1 league appearance, 20 after 1 international. And he was always going to go to Man United ahead of me. And to be honest with you, right, I'm not saying do me some favours, but fuck's sake, Pep, yeah. You've just sold what I believe is a really strong player. And clearly, Ian must think he's a strong player. Because is more shrewd and more clued up, I feel, on the attribute-wise. So, for Pep to sell a player to Ian, his fucking biggest rival. I'm no rival to Pep. And I'm not going to be a rival this season. And I'm not going to be a rival next season, even in the Premier League, hopefully. So, Pep, for fuck's sake, I mean... Like I said, I'm not saying... I mean, when I sell a player, when I've been Chelsea and I've sold a player to Ian or Pep, unless it's someone that I don't think is going to make them stronger, then I don't sell to them unless it's an exchange. Whenever I've sold to Pep, I sell and I bring in youth because I need to gain something out of it. There's no logic. There's no logic. And whilst I know there's no logic in it, I was frustrated because the fucking player would have been a great player for me. He would have been a really good player for me. So I was pissed off. I was really pissed off, to be honest with you. When I brought that left back from Pep, I brought him with a view to maybe going to 4 at the back. Should point that out. That is an option for me to go 4 at the back. That being said, whilst I'm continuing to use wingers, I brought this player on a free transfer last season, and look at him this season. He is ripping it apart. He is ripping it apart. But just to remind you, last season we won the FA Cup and we sported that sort of formation. So I don't really want to dick around with changing the formation. Now let me remind you something, that this formation, what I've called it several different things, this was the formation that I had with Liverpool when I was Liverpool, and I got a 38 perfect season in the Premier League. So, you know, do I change, do I not? In terms of my strikers, I've still got that New Caledonian striker. Oh, he's fucking shit. He was injured for 8 months. I didn't realise he was back. Well, I fucked up there, didn't I? I fucked up there big time. But I've got a few strikers. I brought this Gransart. Done really, really well. We've also got the Polish striker who steps in and does really well. We've got some really good players. I mean, if we look at who my biggest average rating player, it's both strikers. Stepanik has been superb for me. My central midfielders, now I might have pointed this out on the previous one, I've got 3 solid central. I pointed out about this guy, Martinson, but I brought in this guy, Christian Egger, absolute rock. And then we've still got this guy who I'll probably fuck off, to be honest with you. The same with the DMC. I think one of them's going to go. I don't think it warrants both of them. I may as well just free them up, and try and locate a central defender. Because the bottom line is, I don't know. I always like to have 3 players vying for one position, but sometimes you've got to be realistic. This guy here, Park, I'm probably going to fuck him off. I think he was a cheap buy, but I don't know. I don't think he's going to make it. He's got no pace, so who knows. There's going to be a big influx of people coming in and out. Jasmine arrived from Middlesbrough in an exchange deal. I forget, he hasn't played a game for me yet. He's got no pace, which does worry me. But once he gets a bit of game time, I'm hoping he'll step up. Because he's not eligible for European football. Half my players aren't. Because this fucking player, Everseve, has been absolutely fucking horrendous to me. And if I remember rightly, you can see there, in the year 2139/2140, I freed him because he was a pain in the arse, and he stayed on a free for 3 years. Last season, he did a job for me. This season, he'll go. Pep even freed him up as well, or Pep sold him to me on a free. He's been a useless shite, that boy. Watkins is starting to fall off the pace in terms of defence. So I think, I do need defence. There's no doubt about that. Let me just remind myself who went to Middlesbrough as part of that part exchange. It was it was this defender who wasn't cutting it for me after 6 games, and he kept fueling moves. They kept making offers. So the only way I was going to agree to that was to get someone in part exchange. So that was the deal. But of course, when you do things like that, the shit thing is he played Continental for me, which is why I'm very restricted on who can play in Continental. But we're going into the midwinter break now, so I can make a few alterations when we get to the second half of the season. So that's that then. Hopefully the next update will be me in the top flight. Every so often I do look at who's interested in me. And as you can see, the highest valued player is £6 million. It isn't anyone of interest. It is shit. It is really, really shit. I mean, I have got players that I'm tracking, but as you can see, none of them are interested in me. They're not the biggest in the world. They're not the best. Excuse me. I've looked to get him. I don't know who he's a region of. I'm not sure if he's that good. But hey ho. So that is where we are at then. That player that is interested in a bit Pep is a shower of shit. So that's where we are at. These are my scouts. I send my scouts out Central America. And this is probably what Pep did as well, to be fair. I'm only really sending 3 scouts at a time because I want to keep these 3. Keeping an eye on the players interested from Ian, Pep and Chelsea. I'd like to have one on next position, which I could probably do without. So I'll probably redo all the scouts and send them here, there and everywhere. That's it then with the 3-man game. Hopefully it's been a bit of an insight into where we are at. If you've got anything you want to add, anything you want to know, anything you want to critique, fire it down. And if you want anything doing on CM, let me know. And until next time from me, guys, take it easy.